constituency the opportunity to come and air their views on platforms like these. And I'm quite certain, as we roll out this campaign throughout this constituency, you will also hear from other persons and other young persons like Cody. Cody, you did a wonderful job. Give her another round of applause, please. I started out this meeting by saying this platform will not degenerate into what we have been hearing coming from similar platforms across this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the issues in this campaign has to be that of leadership. Because over the last 10 years, we have very blatantly seen the lack of leadership and the lack of visionary from the persons who are currently governing this country. It is very important, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to be saying this from the very start, that when you go to the polls, whenever the polls are called, that you vote for the Barbados Labour Party, and in this constituency, Ryan Strawn, who is our candidate. We have seen, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 3 years in particular, a total decline in the economy of this country. And we will be heavily dependent on Ryan and his capacity and his knowledge to see how we can restore this country back to the days in which we were acclaimed to be punching above our weight. As I said, I cherish the opportunity to be a speaker from this platform. But my task tonight is just that, as to chair the meeting and to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, needs no introduction to the people of this country. Marsha Hines has been one of those young persons educated here in Barbados at the same University of the West Indies. And she has been one of the young people, when you see her, you will testify to that. And I welcome her to this microphone to share a few words with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Miss Marsha Hines Lane. Thank you.
Once last year, protect his children, keep them from falling.
Greetings, Christchurch East. So let me do that again. You see, I'm so excited about it starting in the east that by the time I got to the east, I forgot to stick on the central. Good night, Christchurch East Central. Good night, good night, good night. I am so happy. I am so proud to come behind this young lady. You know that I always get very excited when women are involved in politics, when women are taking their places in politics. And I just had to bring this young lady up here to tell her, keep going, keep fighting, keep growing, and keep speaking out. I loved it. Now, I've come to know Ryan Strawn. It is a pleasure to come and endorse Ryan Strawn tonight in his next constituency. It is a pleasure to see a young man who understands what the new politics in Barbados has to be all about. It is comfortable, it is satisfying to my soul to walk next to a young man who has pledged his commitment to building community and to building young people for the people of Wotton and for the people of Christchurch East Central. You see, one of the problems that we have in Barbados right now is that we have allowed people for too long who are not brighter than us, who are not more moral than us, to make us feel like we are unworthy of good governance. We have made them feel that we will go anywhere with them, that we will allow them to do anything, and this is why we find our country in the disarray that it is in tonight. This is why we find our country at a place that we almost do not recognize. And this is why it has to start in the east. This is why it has to start with Christchurch East Central. This is why it has to start with a vote for Ryan Strawn. Because this country has had enough. This country is tired, and it is crying out for its people to stand up and to defend its honor. So I have come tonight to ask the people of Christ Church East Central to do me one small favor. I want you to take Johnzana and skittle him and his high heels and his poor pronunciations of TH as far as you can throw him. I want you to vote for Ryan Strong. I also want for this platform tonight to add to your understanding and knowledge about what my sister-in laid the platform for me to speak about perfectly tonight. Because I have come to tell the people of Christ Church East Central the story of the University of the West Indies. Because I have heard some strange utterings from Johnzana when it comes to the history of the University of the West Indies and who intended work for the University of the West Indies. So one of the things that stuck in my craw and will forever be lodged there until the bastardization of free education at the tertiary level in Barbados is restored, it will be in my craw. He said that Barrow never wanted free tertiary education to last forever. Did you hear him say that? You remember that statement?
Yes.
What I want to know is what Erabara has to do with the history of the University of the West Indies. Erabara had nothing to do with the history of the University of the West Indies. And we have to be able to educate ourselves so that we can really understand why it is that we cannot send Johnzana back to the Parliament of Barbados. One of the architects of the University of the West Indies is a man called Eric Williams. You know that name? He went on to be the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But Eric Williams is a Caribbean intellectual. He is a historian. He was heavily influenced by the work of Marxism, and he was heavily influenced by the work of C.L.R. James. Now, in Marxist theory, you are looking at how you reconcile the fallout between the proletariat, which is the working class, the poor in the community, with the bourgeoisie, which is the people who have the money and the power and the control. And Marxism says to you that education is a fundamental pillar in changing a society to make it more egalitarian for people. So that Eric Williams and people who were fighting to move the Caribbean into a nationalist period and then into an independence period understood the importance of a university for the West Indies. Because before that, bright students had to leave and go to England or go to America or go to somewhere else to study. And I am going to tell you tonight in the words of Eric Williams, who is an architect of the establishment of the University of the West Indies, what was intended. So that when Johnzana shows up at your door in his high heels, you can give him the real story and tell him that you understand what it is that he has really deprived your children of, and that you can stand up and tell him Ryan Strong is the man and the change will start in the East. When I was writing this speech this morning, I was listening to Burning Spears. And Burning Spears sings out, Christopher Columbus is a damn blasted liar. You know that song? I said, wait, Johnzana is one too. Because Eric Williams wrote a transcript in 1945 where he outlined the establishment of the University of the West Indies. But I want to focus not only on what Eric Williams wrote, but what was going on in Barbados in 1945. Because I want to show you how how the leaders of Barbados take the history of Barbados and turn it around to suit them, and turn it around to suit the things that they have to do after they have completely mismanaged the economy of Barbados and cannot continue the commitment to the people of Barbados to make sure that your children have access to education at all levels. Grattan Bush was the governor of Barbados in 1945. Moses went to Parliament in 1934. You know who Moses is? You know who they used to call Moses? Grantley Herbert Adams was referred to as Moses. So that Grantley Adams would have been in the Parliament of Barbados at 1945, and I'm starting at 1945 because that is 3 years before the University of the West Indies was opened, and he would have been one of the legislators working in the Barbadian space when the university was established. It is important that you, the people of Wotton, that you, the people of Barbados, know these things. Because when you go to the poll, you have to make your decision in the fullest and the truest knowledge. Grantley Adams in 1945 was at the pinnacle of his political career. He was associated with things like the Barbados Working Man's Compensation Act, the amendment to the Barbados Educational Act, which paved the way for the coming of the University of the West Indies and also for free access to secondary education for Barbadians as well. He had established the Wages Board and the Labour Department. The reduction from £50 to £20 for franchise, and then for the ability of women to vote equally with men. All of these are things that Grantley Adams would have been contributing to in the Parliament of Barbados in 1945, 3 years before the University of the West Indies came into being. Earlston Teachers Training College was established. Old age pensions increased. Improved working conditions for shop assistants. Increases in the public services. Building of the Deepwater Harbour and the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. That is Grantley Adams that was in Parliament presiding over the continued improvement of the lot of the average Barbadian. Errol didn't know about here. He was in Germany flying a plane. What Errol have to do with the history of the University of the West Indies? Tell Jones and I say he don't know what we're talking about. When Barrow finally came back to Barbados, he sat at the feet of Moses in awe and in apprenticeship. Because don't forget that he came out to the Barbados Labour Party. Don't forget. Johnson can't tell me nothing about the University of the West Indies. And he can't tell me nothing about morals neither, because all four of my children born in wedlock. Now let me get to the words of Eric Williams. Because I want you to hear one of the chief architects of the development of the University of the West Indies in his own words. He makes the point, and I quote, "Before we take up the actual question of a British West Indian university, it is necessary to understand what a university is and what it represents to society. It is not a mere collection of colleges or faculties teaching students. It is an expression of the social order in which it functions. It is not by accident that the University of the West Indies and opportunities to go to it were expanded under the last Barbados Labour Party government. That is not an accident. Because if you are building a society, as this government purports to be doing, then you have to ensure that the young minds in your country are harnessed and can access education that can bring them not only into employment, but a clearer understanding of who they are as people and what it is that they need to do to improve the lots of themselves and then their children. It is not by accident that university education then became harder to access under the Democratic Labour Party. because they do not understand the importance and significance of ensuring that your people are educated. When they say Barrow they intend for university education to be free, tell me what the hell Barrow had to do with it. Nothing. He knows nothing about it. Let us listen some more to Eric Williams talking about his baby in his own words. He wanted university education to be free in perpetuity for the people of the Caribbean. And he said, and I quote, "With heavy expenditure in the years ahead in all fields, the principle of free university education will probably be impossible in the immediate future. But from the very beginning, it should be recognized that university education in the modern world is no longer the privilege of the wealthy or brilliant commoner, and that the period of exclusiveness in university education is over. It is the university's duty to blaze the trail for the eventual recognition of the principle already enunciated by Ceylon, that is in Sri Lanka, that education should be free from kindergarten to university." That is Eric Williams speaking in the first person in 1945. Tell Jonesana he don't know how to wear heels and he don't know nothing about the University of the West Indies. Eric Williams, the British West Indian University should steadfastly avoid that aristocratic conception of the university, which dominates the proposals of a commission on the development of higher education in East Africa. That commission recommended the establishment of a University College of East Africa, which will send out 100 students a year, and which in 10 years' time should aim at having no less than 350 to 400 students. In the British West Indies, such conservatism is not only inherently bad, it will also put back a clock whose hands have already been moving too slowly. It was not the vision of Hilary Beckles to see a graduate in every household. It was the vision of the chief architect of the University of the West Indies himself, Eric Williams. And he spoke of it back in 1945. And in one fell swoop, you have a Minister of Education who presides over one of the biggest constituencies in Barbados with one of the highest rates of youth in his constituency. And he single-handedly removes everything that the people in the Caribbean have tried to do to move the poor masses in the Caribbean closer to a place where they can support themselves. Jonesana is the demon in the Ministry of Education. They ain't got nothing but he. But we can fix it. Ryan Strong will fix it. And I am asking you to give him the opportunity to fix it. The thing that burned me more is that when they started this thing about children paying for university, Frandel Stewart daughter did no done. Esteban Soku son did no done. Maxine McLean son did no done. But I have seen students, some of the best, who had to leave the University of the West Indies and leave programs halfway done. 10 courses to done. 5 courses to done. Because their parents could not find the money. But the people who have made a pastime of raping the treasury of Barbados go through them home. And they change the rules. It is wicked. I know where the demon is tonight. And Ryan Strong is going to help me fix it. You know that I got to very quickly, I don't know how much more time I have, but I have to very quickly talk about the school situation and what is going on in Barbados. Because I need to remind you that Joanna is a part of a government that secured a mandate from the people of Barbados in 2008, partly based on their plan to bring a Ministry of Family into being in this country. You remember that? Yes. The Ministry of Family was supposed to be able to deal with some of the young people that we have in our school system now who are coming from vulnerable communities and vulnerable homes and who are acting out because they need support, attention and love that they're not finding in other places. At the end of the day, a teacher's duty is to teach a syllabus. Sometimes as hard as you try, it is difficult to mother a child and offer that support of family and teach that syllabus at the same time. And since 2008, Joanna and the Democratic Labour Party knew that those vulnerable children were creating problems in the school system and that they needed to be dealt with. And then they got in, and then they saw the money, and then they saw the first class trips, and the rest is sordid history. And our children are the ones that are suffering. I will go into that more fulsomely at another time. But I want to tell you all, Ryan is the man. Ryan is the man. Ryan is the man. Ryan is the man. The change starts in the east. The change will start in the east. This is Christchurch East Central. You can be a part of the change. Vote for Ryan Strong. Give him the vote. Give him the vote. Vote for Ryan Strong. Your vote can send Joanna and his bad high heels into a place where he has more time to match his heels with his shoes.
Let us hear it again. Let us hear it again from Marshall. Ladies and gentlemen, in this upcoming elections, the people of this country will be the judge and the jury. And you will be asked to assess the performance of the current administration. And I'm quite certain by the end of this election campaign, you will have declared them all guilty. The Democratic Labour Party brought this document to you in 2013, in which they pledged to do many things. From the Barbados Labour Party's platform throughout the length and breadth of this country, we will speak to the issues and to those areas which they have neglected. And it is as a result of that neglect that the country is in the situation that it is today. Because when we look around all of the various sectors in this country, whether it be agriculture, whether it be housing, whether it be roads, and don't even let us talk about education. Because that is one of the worst examples that any government in this country has brought to this country, the level and the degradation of the level and the quality of education that we are currently having, and also access to that education, ladies and gentlemen. We therefore urge you that as we speak to this platform across this constituency, that you do bear in mind, we will judge you for what you have done. You will listen to the Barbados Labour Party as to what we propose to do, and you will make a choice. And what will that choice be, ladies and gentlemen? Vote for Ryan Strong in this constituency and all of the Barbados Labour Party's candidates in the various constituencies across this country. Coming to the microphone, and I hope you realize, we started this platform with 2 young ladies. We will continue that trend, ladies and gentlemen. John, don't assume that when I'm introducing you that you are not young, you know. But the next speaker to the microphone is a young man called Jermaine Bedford. He's no stranger to the Barbados Labour Party. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give him a round of applause as he makes his way to the microphone. Jermaine?
Howdy! BLB got the place growing. All aboard? Yeah! You ready to roll? Yeah! Can I talk just a little bit? Can I really talk just a little bit? Can I really talk just a little bit? Wow! No wasting time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Good night to the residents of Christchurch East Central. How are you feeling? I like the crowd that I'm seeing out here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to first thank Ryan Strong and the Christchurch East Central campaign team for inviting me to come out here tonight and address you. Now, before I start, let me say that I grew up right over there in Silver Hill, and I went to school in Wall Street at Christchurch Boys School when it was Christchurch Boys School. And the current member of Parliament was also my primary school teacher, and he also gave me quite a bit of licks as well. So when I hear Ronald Jones walk about talking about beating school children, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, I have to laugh because I say I should bring a lawsuit against you because you beat me, man. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the nature of the man. And it is sad to say he's a person that I once had a lot of respect for. I had a lot of respect for him because, you know, you're a primary school teacher, you want to grow up and emulate that person. But when that person both physically gets up in Parliament and on TV and every place that he goes, and he tells lies after lies after lies, you know, you kind of get disoriented. But then again, I am not surprised because he belongs to the Democratic Labour Party, and the last time that I remembered what they really stood for, it was deceit, what lies, and what? Propaganda. So ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be in Christchurch East Central, and I am proud to be here in support of Mr. Ryan Strong. This is a man that I met last year, and immediately, I knew that this is a person that will take forward this country, and he can help restore something in Barbados, because when you look around this country, you know that a lot is missing. And I will say this to you, when you see people like Ryan Strong, who are so academically inclined, people who are professional, Ryan Strong is a man who has accomplished a lot. The constituents in this area do not recognize that. This is a man who could be any part of the world right now. But tonight, he is here with you because he sees what is going on in this community, and he sees what is going on in Barbados. And he understands that he is needed now more than ever. So when you see people like Ryan Strong enter the political fray, you know indeed that Barbados is truly broken and something has to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my first political meeting for the 2018 campaign. And I have decided within myself that I will speak strictly on accountability and trust. Now, in Barbados at the current moment, we have none of the two of those acronyms when it comes from this current government. And it is sad to say that the people of this country put their trust in this government. The people of this country listen to their every word. They listened in 2008 when David Thompson talked about credibility, he talked about society, he talked about the economy. They listened when he took the youth up in Haynesville and he told them I was going to do this and I was going to do that. They listened when he talked about the cost of living. They listened when he talked about everything under the sun that he was going to change in Barbados. But you know what happened? over the period of the last 10 years plus, and I say 10 years plus, because right now we have some uninvited guests who decided that they are not leaving office until they complete whatever sinister agenda they have. Whatever sinister agenda they have. And there's a lot that's going to be said in this campaign. There's a lot that will be said in this campaign. But as I was saying, the people of Barbados listened to everything that this government said in 2008. In 2013, they escaped through by the skin of the teeth because they come and tell a lot of lies. And when they finished telling the lies in February 2013, by the month of April, May, they were sending home public servants. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to remember every single lie that this government has ever told you. I want you to remember every single misdeed that they have ever done to you. I want you to remember every single piece of trust that they eroded. You know, I remember in the 2013 election, I was in St. Philip West working. At that time, you know, I said we needed to get out a gentleman out there who likes to call himself by all sort of rough names. And I will let you know that if I go to a house and I see what he says he calls himself, I run. So imagine what Barbados should be doing, because he has unleashed himself on this country. And I'm glad, before I go any further, that I have my good friend John King here tonight, who will defeat him, remove him, and send him back to the pen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this government, it came into office 2008, 2013. Promised a lot, delivered little. It told you everything that was wrong in Barbados, but it could tell you nothing right that they will do. And to this day, we see Barbados crumbling at the seams. We see Barbados crumbling at the seams. And when you ask ministers of this government, when you even ask the ordinary members of parliament, what do you intend to do? They cannot give you a solution for anything. Now, if I wanted to be facetious, I could come here tonight and I could talk about the sewage crisis, I could talk about the law and order crisis, I could talk about the breakdown in social care in this country. But you know, when you talk about these things, it is like repeating a story, because the story goes that everything wrong in Barbados seems to be happening under this Democratic Labour Party. And no matter what they do, they seem to do even more wrong. This evening, I was canvassing in the Fair Pilgrim area. I met a youngster. He's 19 years old. I said to him, I'm asking you to support Dwight Sutherland for St. George South, because Fair Pilgrim is part of St. George South. He said to me, you know, I'm 19, I kind of hate this government right now, but I don't know what the Barbados Labour Party will do. So I said to him, you live in a lovely property, your parents seem like decent people, and you seem to be a person who's on track to go someplace in life. So I asked him, what would you want the Barbados Labour Party to tell you? He said to me, just the truth. But I said to him, listen, I'm going to tell you my interpretation of a Barbados Labour Party government versus what you have right now. I showed him a tree that was inside of his garden. I said, you know the difference between BLP and DLP? Imagine if you live at this house. Imagine you are part owner of this house. You are embedded in everything that happens in this house. And imagine one day your father comes to you and he says, you know what? I am uprooting that tree. You said to him, no, Daddy, do not uproot the tree. You said, no, Daddy, do not uproot the tree. You said to him again, no, Daddy, do not uproot the tree. And he comes out. And he decides, you know what? I don't care what you say. So I'm going to uproot this tree. And he uproots it. And when he uproots it, an ant's nest comes out. And then all of a sudden, it becomes your fault, my fault, everybody's fault. It's your mess now. We all have to deal with it. But ladies and gentlemen, that is indicative of what is happening in Barbados today. And I further said to him, the difference between the Democratic Labour Party today and the Barbados Labour Party that you will get tomorrow being led by Mayor Amor Motley is that it is a government that will take you into its confidence. As a young person, you must must understand that your opinion in this country matters. Your opinion in this country must matter because you are part of the future of this country. And I told him, I can guarantee you, I can put my neck on the block. I can tell you that my life could go tomorrow morning if I'm telling a lie. That Mia Amar Motley will take you into her confidence. She will listen to what you as a young person, she will listen to what Barbados has to say. She will listen to what the team of the Barbados Labour Party has to say, and she will govern to suit. I know the words I use, govern. Because right now in Barbados, you have a parliament being headed by a prime minister who believes that he's a ruler. They're going down a road that I do not like, but thank God that there's a constitution, and by June whatever, we will be rid of them. We will be rid of them, and the people of Barbados will breathe a sigh of relief. You know, there were 2 days in this country that the clouds were extremely dark, and if you don't believe me, go back and go to the Red Man. In 2008, when they came into power in January 21st and February 13, 2013. If you don't believe what I'm saying, go back to the Red Man, and you know that is a sign. Because the Prime Minister of this country loves to come on platforms and talk about Christ and God and Jesus and all sorts of things, but he knows nothing of the sort. He knows nothing of the sort. What he probably should do is go and look at the member down in Christchurch East who walks about and tells people he's a doctor, a reverend, a priest, he's all sorts of people, he's a holy man. A man who gets up in Parliament every Tuesday. And I want you all to watch it for yourselves. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Jeremy Beckford's word for it. Watch any debate that goes on in Parliament from now on until the end of until March the 7th. When Dennis Slow gets up to talk, he will find some way to link that topic to homosexuality, because it seems to be the only thing that he cares about. It seems to be what he knows best. But you know, I am respecting boundaries tonight because I did not come on this platform to talk smut, and I have not spoken smut because I just spoke the truth about the gentleman. And talking about it, it is kind of sad because I feel for Ryan, because now he is stuck between Dennis Slow and Stephen Lashley. You know, Ryan, I'll tell you, be careful when you look around here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have said a lot, but I want to tell you this. The Barbados Labour Party is about development in this country. When you look around Barbados, Mayor Molly often talks about the last 10 years. But while she says the last 10 years, I look at the last 50 years, because 10 years of bad governments can set back a country by 50 years. 10 years of bad governments is the difference between my child getting a university education 18 years from now. 10 years of bad governance is the difference between a person becoming homeless because the government has no money to shelter them. 10 years of bad governance. And I will confess something to you tonight. I have a mom that is in a wheelchair. And, you know, it is so sad what happens to people in this country who find themselves in a position where they can no longer work and they can no longer support themselves. When you look at what this government is prepared to offer them, it is sometimes heartbreaking. I thank God that I am a young man who decided that I love my mother and I will take care of her till my dying days and her dying days. That is the sort of person I am. But when you look at the uncaring nature of this government, I remember I had a conversation with Steve Blackie, and he could discredit it if he wanted, because it is the truth. He could not even tell you what is the definition of a wheelchair. And it is sad that that is a man who calls himself the Minister of Social Care in this country. He cares nothing. They care nothing about people in this country who are disadvantaged. I remember there was a young lady who went on the platform, not on the platform, sorry, at a branch meeting with Joseph Attlee. And she said the things that were happening to her. And you know that she was ridiculed the very next day in Parliament by the Democratic Labour Party. I did not hear one person get up and say, well, you know, we have a Minister of Social Care and we will try to help this young lady regardless of which political meeting she speaks at. What they did was take the opportunity to ridicule that lady just because she spoke on a Barbados Day Party platform and our Barbados Day Party meeting. I'm sorry. So ladies and gentlemen, when I come to these platforms on a nightly basis, I'm going to speak about the plight of the elderly, the disabled, the infirm, the sick, all those people in this country, because those people need highlighting. And I am going to say to Ryan tonight that when you become the member of parliament for this area, because I can guarantee you, Ryan, that you will beat my former teacher, who I no longer have respect for, who I know this constituency cannot wait to see the back of. I know you cannot wait to see the back of Ronald Jones. You want him out of office. He has contributed nothing of substance in the last 10 years. But Ryan, before I get him out, I want to ask him a question. Ask him why Randall Stewart demoted him from being the technical deputy prime minister of Barbados. Let him tell you what happened there. That is all I want you to do before I get him out. But ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, we need a caring government in this country. We need someone who knows how to touch base with people. And it isn't only in this country, in constituencies like this, because as I told you, I grew up in an area. And I understand what it means to be neglected, and I understand what it means to be looked after. When I was growing up in Silver Hill, Joe Edgell was a member of parliament. Unfortunately, Silver Hill is now burdened with Stephen Lashley, who cares nothing about those people. He cares absolutely nothing. To the point that he ran from Silver Hill and he put his office down in Briar Hall because he said he don't want to be around poor people. And that is indicative of this party who calls themselves the party of the poor. Well, you know, when they came up with that manifesto, Pathways to Progress, it was Pathways to Poverty for them. They care nothing about you. Ronald Jones cares nothing about you. Randall Stewart definitely cares nothing about anybody in Barbados. And if you don't believe me, ask the rich, poor, middle class, able, infirm, everybody. Because he has treated everybody with such scant disrespect. He has pretended that you do not exist for the last 9 years. But I have to leave this platform now, and I want to leave this message with you. When you go out to vote, when they actually find the courage to call the election, because right now they're trembling in their feet, they're hiding like little cats, hiding out in booths. Ladies and gentlemen, when they find that courage and they call this election, I want you to tell all your friends. And tell your friends to tell your friends. You tell your poor workers, tell your church mates, even your enemies, whoever you know. Vote against the Democratic Labour Party. Vote against deceit. Vote against lies. Vote against propaganda. Vote against corruption. Vote against everything that is wrong. And whatever you do, give Brian Strong the vote in Church East Central. Bring the Barbados to the party of the power. Allow me and more money to become the Prime Minister of this country. Bring the Parliament to Barbados. God bless you. Good night. Thank you.
How are we feeling, ladies and gentlemen? It is indeed, as I spoke to you and I had the opportunity to walk among those who are gathered here this afternoon, I want to welcome my next parliamentary representative who is in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, Sandra Husbands. She is here. And they said they will. And they know that she will do justice in my part of the woods. Sandra, we thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, the Barbados Labour Party introduced a document called the Covenant of Hope. If you have not yet received a copy of this document, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to come to the constituency office. Once there are other copies available, we will make one to you. Within this document, it speaks to what the Barbados Labour Party in this new dispensation will be bringing to this country. Because when you go to the polls, you have to decide what has the Democratic Labour Party do for you in this country, and more in particular, here in Wotton, what has the current representative done for you over the last 3 terms that he has served this constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, the next person to the microphone. A young man, recently graduated. He is one of the young budding lawyers in this country, and I give you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chad Blackman.
Hold it! Big on the place, crowdy. All aboard? Yeah! You ready to roll? Yeah! Can I talk just a little bit? Can I really talk just a little bit? Can I really talk just a little bit? Well! Now is the time. Now is the time. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Go tell your friends. Go tell your friends. Tell your whole family. Your whole family. Catch the strength upon the left. Catch the strength upon the right. We rolling with the biggest watch out to make this right. Bring it down, we rolling. Bring it down, we moving. Bring it down, we working. Tell me how you're feeling. You know right? All our way to be a dream. All our way to family. All our way to be a dream. All our way to be a problem. We making it better. We are telling them we like it. Anybody know? Come get aboard. We're taking no more heavy load. Let me come together and make things better. Now we're ready for the road.
Good evening, Wotton. Let me try that again, man. Good evening, Wotton. Thank you for holding the mic because it seems a bit more convenient that way. It is certainly good to be here in Wotton this evening, even as I begin to speak. Showers of blessings are falling from heaven. Ryan, take that as your omen and sign from God that He is with you. Now, this election is a very important one, and these spot meetings are a critical part of what the Barbados Labour Party is doing to sensitize and to bring to the public of Barbados, both at home and abroad, for those of you who are watching on Facebook Live. Good evening to you as well. And it is important for a number of reasons, but before I get into the reasons why it is important, I have to say to you, I'm very honored to be speaking and endorsing the next parliamentary representative for Christchurch East Central in the name of Ryan Strong. Ryan, I have known for a while now, and he is a man who understands not only economics and business and trade and development, but he understands people. And really, if I should borrow from Kerr Humphrey, who is running in St. Michael South, who's also going to defeat the Prime Minister, and his slogan is people over politics. And that is a philosophy I believe that Ryan embodies. And it is for that reason I can say to you that here in Christchurch East Central, you have a man that you must rally behind in the name of Ryan Strong. You have to give him your vote. Over the last 15 years, your parliamentary representative that you went out and voted for is a man called, I am told, Ronald Jones. And each election, the 3 elections that he would have won, people would have placed their confidence in him on the expectation that he was going to do things to the betterment of your life. And I want to address a few things here tonight, because when you can deceive people, it is a very serious thing. And when you can deceive people and think that you can get away with it, it is even worse. But when you can deceive people, think that you can get away with it, and act as arrogant and cocky and talk down to people as if they mean nothing, then you have to be punished at the polls. Have to be punished at the polls. This election is not just about Barbados Labour Party versus Democratic Labour Party. This is about ensuring that those who have destroyed this country over the last 10 years are forever punished. Well, I can do that, but y'all might do it in a different way. You can do it by voting. I agree with the sentiment. People are frustrated. We are here in Wotton, and I don't think it is coincidence, and I want to speak to a number of issues as it relates to where we are. You would remember in 2008 when David Thompson was the Prime Minister. He would have come to Barbados the length and breadth and said to people that if elected, we are going to give people in the housing areas their houses for free. Do you remember that? We can deal with the law tonight and expose the lies that Ronald Jones and his party continues to tell people. And those here in the housing area, I want you to listen to me very carefully, because I can explain the law to you so that you can call Ronald Jones and tell him they lied to us. They would have said that if you live in the housing area from back when Thompson was running to be Prime Minister, and even in the last election in 2013, they said if you elect the Democratic Labour Party, you will get your housing units for free. You remember that? Now, up to now, not a man jack has gotten their conveyance. And what a conveyance basically means is basically your title deed, which basically allows you to say, I own this property. Not a man jack get their title deeds yet. But yet, the Democratic Labour Party, Ronald Jones, walking about telling people that we give people their housing unit is the biggest lie ever told in Barbados. What are the implications of that? It means, therefore, if you want to go and build on something extra, and you want to go and get a mortgage, or you want to do something and use that as collateral, you can't do it because you don't have a title deed to take to the credit union to do it. You can't do it. But yet, they consider themselves and brand themselves as a party for poor people. It's a lie. This Democratic Labour Party is so far removed from what our bar stood for, it is funny. If our bar could get him out of the sea, because remember he scattered his ashes in the sea, he would run all of them from George Street and tell them to leave. Who are you strangers? Lyman in George Street in my name. That's what he would say. You remember in the last election, a number of my speakers before here tonight spoke about it. They said 3 weeks before the January election, the Prime Minister and a whole team behind him stood up at a mass canvas and said that they will not cut education funding for Bajans wanting to study at the University of the West Indies, whether it is Caville, whether it is Mona, or whether it is St. Augustine. That's what they said. They said they would not do it. And they give all the reasons why they could not do it. And would you believe that the people of Barbados voted for them and they deceived them and they said, you know what, we ain't paying for you anymore? Who is the Minister of Education who sat in cabinet on Thursday and decided that? The MP for this constituency, Ronald Jones. He should understand better than anybody else in that cabinet because he was a teacher. He taught at the Christchurch Boys School, I'm told. And he would understand the importance of education to people. The UE brand is not just about saying I have a degree. This country has done well because poor ordinary persons in this country had the ability to go to tertiary education and receive it at free point of delivery. It increases your quality of life. But clearly Ronald Jones believed that he can kick down the same ladder that allowed him to rise up. But people here want their word for it, that's what he thinks. It is an arrogant thing. As my guy Rampart here said, you teaching somebody how to fish, but then you take away the fishing rod from them. That don't make any sense. It's an arrogant thing. But let's go further. Dennis Law, Priscilla, and the same Ronald Jones have this mindset that they can win this election because they're going to give people hampers. I want you to understand how they see all of us in this country. They don't care about poor people. It's the worst thing in Barbados, man. They don't care about poor people. They have a mindset that if we can give out hampers, we can win this election. Now I want you to understand the philosophy behind the hampers in the Democratic Party, you know. The more difficult life gets, it therefore means the harder things have become and the dependency needing to have hampers. And they walk about in their campaign strategy and their meetings behind the scenes and they tell them, you hear them sometimes in the voice notes that they slip. Man, we can get all them hampers. And they can still vote for me, we ain't care with them. Once they vote for me, we back in for 5 years, and then we ain't gonna care nothing about that. That is the sort of arrogance that you have going around in the Democratic Labour Party. I am told tonight that the same water pasture here, every year for the last 37 years it is, 34 to 37 years, that the Masters cricket would go on in Barbados, and Wotton was one of the fields that would have been played on. But because the Democratic Labour Party lick up the money that we left in the Labour Party, in the government, they have no more money to contribute now. So you know what they're telling the Masters? Organizers, you can't play on those facilities across Barbados anymore. You have to now pay $500 per game. In circumstances where an ordinary lady from this area who would then go to the cricket and set up her stall because you got persons coming to watch and play cricket, she can't do that anymore. But you have a situation where you have not received a salary increase over the last 10 years. How many of you have received a salary increase in the last 10 years? Tell me. How many of you? Not a boy. Why? Because the Dems lick up the money. They say that we have to make sure that Barbados is back on track after they lick up the money. But the arrogance that they have portrayed is what is frightening. And I'll explain to you why. I would never forget when Dover Ennis, I think he was Minister of Health at the time, he said that the country, the people should receive a salary cut. And they tricked the people into believing that they are going to do it on behalf of the people too, and they cut their salary by 10%. But he also said that nobody should cut his salary because he got children to send to school. Now this is a man that makes 14,000 Barbados dollars a month as a minister. But yet can tell poor people that making $250,000 a week that they should cut their salary. They got children too, they got rent to pay, they got current to pay for, they got to go into church or more children with them buy food. Sometimes you know you got to put back the items that when you get there because you can't afford. But a man who's making $14,000 a month is saying to you that you should cut your standard of living
from the computer
in the interest of the country, but let him live lavish. These are people who get allowances every month to entertain, to wine and dine, travel all over the world, but yet to come and tell you that you don't deserve these things. It is wrong. It is wrong. And you must fix that wrong by electing Ryan Strawn and removing the cancer in the name of Ronald Jones. He has no interest in you. He's had 3 terms, and all he cares about is making sure he got his pension, and he cares nothing about Christchurch, East Central, Wotton, Vauxhall, Edie's Village, St. David's, Kingsland, nowhere. And the people in Lodge Road have a message for him too. That's my time. No, not my time yet. Good. But I also want to touch on another thing. You have a situation in this election, and I want you to really understand what is going on, and I can break it down. Parliament is the highest office in this country in terms of governance and making laws. And we are in a situation where, for our pattern of governance in the Westminster model is, if you are elected, they give you 5 years or no more. This is a very serious thing. And the Democratic Labour Party is feeling the vibe across Barbados. The people vote them out. The people plan to vote them out. But what do you do when you are setting up a dictatorship? You cling on to power and you use the power body, which is Parliament, to create laws to protect yourself and to extend your power. What they are doing is 2 things. They are saying that they have a right to go into the 90-day period after Parliament is dissolved. One of the things that you have to understand, Wotton, is that the 90-day period after Parliament is dissolved on March 6th, is that you are only supposed to go after that period if there is a national unrest if there's a national disaster like a hurricane or anything like that was unforeseen. We are not into any hurricane season, so unless God decides otherwise, we ain't no hurricane coming. But what you would realize is this week that they passed a law, they're trying to pass a law to extend the powers of the police. Now, I have no problems with the police. The Royal Barbados Police Force serves a very important role in this country. No one should ever say anything otherwise. They work hard, and sadly, the government does not pay them enough. Because this Democratic Labour Party don't care about the police. Remember, they promised them duty-free cars? And they couldn't get not one because it was a lie from the beginning. They tricked the teachers as well. And the nurses, don't let us forget. But the point I'm making is this. What they are looking to do is to extend the powers of the police so that they can create anarchy in this country. Not the police, but there's a mischief that the Democratic Labour Party wants to put out in terms of its propaganda arm, suggesting that there's going to be unrest. If you listen to Parliament this week, President said it. Never in the history of Barbados has there ever been any violence in our elections. We are peaceful people. But they know what they plan to do. When a party and a government is on the way out and they know the people don't want anything to do with them, they will create anything through law to stay here. And you must be aware. You must get on the phone and tell your neighbor we voted peace. Why? These people have to go. When you get on WhatsApp, and you voice note him, the message, we voted peace. These people have to go. When you're on Facebook, update your Facebook status, vote them out. We done with them. And Ronald Jones clearly has been chosen for too long. You understand? This election is about the soul of our country. Never can I imagine that in Barbados you will have a situation where poor people cannot go to the supermarket and buy something comfortable for their children. Why? When we left office, VAT was at 15%. You remember? You remember how much you could buy for $100? Whether you go in Massey, whether you go in Cherish, whether you go in to wherever popular, you could have filled a basket or close to it. No. Because why? What the Dems have done is that they increased the VAT from 15% to 17.5%. And things became very expensive. But it became worse. This thing called it an SRL. And now things are so expensive you can't eat. And even though people get stressed, just the idea of going to the supermarket. Fairness, go to, being in the supermarket itself. You go to the aisle, to the cashier, and you have to put back things. But it doesn't stop there. You have to decide this month I can pay court or I can pay Massey. Or this month I have to pay the light bill, but I can't pay all of the phone bill. These are the things that this party calling itself the party of the poor people has done to you. They don't care. This housing unit here, and I'm glad Sandra is in the audience because she is a fantastic lady who continues to work in St. James South. This housing unit here was built at the same time as the housing units in Hayesville. And there has not been an upgrade of the electrical system in this housing area. Do you understand what that means, Wotton? People are now going to work in fear, dreading a phone call. Because that could be my house that burning home. Why? The voltage is too strong for the electrical system in here. But Ronald Jones ain't coming out here to address it, or to send the electrical departments to upgrade it, or national housing. Then they still been doing it, because why? All they can think about is fattening in their bank accounts. That is all they are concerned about. Ronald Jones got a pension, Prince Sinclair got a pension, and enough more however else to get them. And they don't care at all. So when Ronald Jones comes out here with hampers and he says Quincy Jones, I have told him more hampers, tell them keep them. Well, that's true. If they bring them, was that take them out? Drink them out? And vote them out? Okay. Well, you know what to do. Because your vote is worth more than a hamper. You ain't putting them back in there for another 5 years, you sucking souls and then down in Lower Court eating caviar. No, them days done, Jones. Them days done. You had 15 years as an MP. I ain't talking about as a minister now. You had 15 years as an MP, Ronald Jones, to prove to the people of Christchurch East Central that you have their backs. And And the only thing is that you've gone on top of their backs. And I can tell you what it will do with them. You must go. It is time. It is time. It is time. It is time that you leave the Christchurch Essential and never return. I would ask you to find a church, Ronald Jones, whether it's a Catholic one, a Pentecostal one, and go into the confessional and say to Jesus, God, forgive me because I used those people and I'm sorry. And you, Christchurch Essential, must do this for not just yourself, but your children and your unborn children. And whenever election is called, you go to the polls and you go and make sure, right within the line, Ryan Strong. Ryan Strong, Ryan Strong, Ryan Strong, Ryan Strong. And when the election, the votes get to come that night, what the counting officer can say? Strong, 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 strong. And then what the return officer said, I now present to you the duly elected parliamentary representative for Christchurch Essential, Mr. Ryan Strong. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God bless you.
Sing whoa. Hear my plea, oh yeah. A song for my life.
Ladies and gentlemen,
early this morning.
The next speaker to this microphone, many persons in this country and throughout the Caribbean has known this individual as one of the finest entertainers in this country. But ladies and gentlemen, this election has proven to you that this individual has more talent than just that of the entertainment industry. As a welfare officer, ladies and gentlemen, he is bringing to the people in his constituency the type of analysis of what it takes to amend the welfare process in this country, ladies and gentlemen. Let us see another side of this young man. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome John King to the microphone.
How many more? Before we track down Zion.
I can't hear you. All aboard! Correct. Good night. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I come to you to endorse Ryan Strong. That is the man that Christchurch Essential needs. That is the man who is going to change the fortunes of the people of this constituency. That is the man who is going to help restore Barbados to its former glory. That is the man with the plan to pull us out of the depths that the Democratic Labour Party have put us in. You know, I first heard him speak, I believe it was around 2011, on a program with David Ellis. And I don't think that at that time he had any political aspirations at all. He was speaking as a concerned citizen of Barbados. But what he was saying, I felt it also. And every time he made the point of how disgusted, how hurt he was at the situation of the Barbadian economy, I said, there is the kind of person that we need at this juncture of our development to help us out of the slump. You, the people of Christchurch East Central, are lucky to have Ryan Strong put himself forward to represent you. He is a solid mind. He's a professional. He's a brilliant young man. And he has the best interests of you and this entire country of Barbados in the forefront of his mind. But like all of the candidates of the Barbados Labour Party, he cannot do it alone. He needs every single one of you right-thinking Barbadians, loyal sons and daughters, craftsmen of your faith, to rally behind him and make sure that he wrestles this constituency out of the hands of Ronald Jones. Everywhere you go across this island, people are in pain. People are suffering. People are saying they have never, ever experienced life like this in this country. Young people, the elderly, the not so young, the not so old, the rich, the poor, in between. Everyone is crying out. And all we can get from the people that you put your trust in for 2 terms is a lot of excuses. Could you imagine that you have people sitting down in Parliament pretending to be ministers, because that's all they're doing, pretending to be ministers? Because every time that there's a problem, have you noticed that every one of them to a man just put his hand up in the ears and said, don't blame me. Don't blame me. But you are leading a ministry. But you could spend time blaming the PSAs. You blame the police. You blame the civil servants. And then when it gets so bad, you blame the Barbados Labour Party, who has not been in power for the last 10+ years, for problems that you create yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the kind of representation that Barbados voted for when they voted on 2 occasions. I know that they should have been gone after the first term. But I know Barbadian people well. I know you like to say, could dear, give them a chance. Or could dear, they had enough time. But could dear, look what they're doing to me. So when you go to the polls this time, I don't want to hear anybody in the line tell me about could dear, nothing. We don't want a could dear. We want them out of here. Not could dear. Because ladies and gentlemen, we can't take 5 more years of this democratic. But no, man, y'all saw that you would put the back in the door. I said we can't take 5 more years of this version of the Democratic Labour Party. We can't. And the thing that bothers me most of all, and Ryan is speaking about this over and over and over, he continues to tell you that the way forward for this country is going to be with the empowerment of our young people. But let me tell you this. If all of us, the adults, don't get involved and make the right decisions for our children, for our grandchildren, ask yourself one simple question, because all of us are getting older. Who is going to look after us when we can't look after ourselves? It is incumbent on every one of you, when you go to the polls, whenever this election is called, to make a decision that is based on the future of our young people and the future of this country. Don't go to the polls talking about my grandmother used to vote for the dead. My auntie just vote for the good. Your auntie or grandmother suffering just like everybody else under this party. And they're gonna watch my words good. I'm gonna watch my words good. The time has come when the good people of Wotton, Kingsland, and all the surrounding areas have to tell Ronald Jones enough is enough, and Jones got to go. How long have you been in now? 3 terms? 3 terms. Let me ask you a question. Tell me one thing that Ronald Jones did that you appreciate for the 3 terms. Give me one. Wait. I don't believe I hear you at all. I said give me one. Nothing. So what would make Ronald Jones think that if after 3 terms that the good people of Wotton have nothing good to talk about, not a monument that they can see, nothing that they can point to that help in their own advancement, that he should get back in again? Cracking heads. Your children going demons. Any of your children going demons? I sure know that none of my children are going demons. But this is the kind of representation or misrepresentation that you have had for 3 terms. Look, a lot of you might not know, but before I got involved in entertainment full time, I used to be the welfare officer at the government industrial school. I spent most of my life working with young people. And let me tell you something. When I heard Mr. Jones make the statement that the children got in demons, I mean, I don't get met shamed very regularly. I'm a fellow who's good. You know, whoever it is. But I felt so ashamed that a well-educated man. Alright, let me rephrase that for you. A supposedly well-educated man who is the head of the Ministry for Education could come up with such a ridiculous statement that our children got in demons. But if the children got in demons, what would the parents got in? It doesn't make any sense. And we continue to hear these kind of utterances from this version of the Democratic Labour Party. I mean, you have another minister who said that nobody is entitled to no free education. And I've heard speakers talk about it on top this platform tonight, but I gotta repeat it so you understand. How can you say such things after you yourself have benefited from the same free education? And now that you put yourself in a position where you can afford to send your children not only to UE, but you can send them to North America, you can send them to England, you can send them as far away as New Zealand and Australia to go to school, and you look at our children and tell them that they're not entitled to a free education or free UE. Exactly, in their own country. The foundation upon which many of our lives has been built. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a time to be sentimental. This is not a time to say good deal. This is a time to make the decisions that are in the best interest of you. many of us make decisions that are in the best interests of other people. You put your trust in people to carry out the people's business. But when that trust has been eroded, you have one choice to make. And that choice is to hit them where it hurts. Because you've been hurting since 2008. You had an opportunity to put an end to it and we did it. Do not let the opportunity pass you a second time. Go to the polls and vote. I know that a lot of people are so disgusted. I know a lot of people are so disgusted and so fed up that across this country you can hear people saying the two parties are the same. There's a difference between the politicians. But those are excuses that Democratic Labour Party supporters make because they're ashamed about the party that they're supporting because it let them down. And it continues to let them down. In fact, this party that told you that it is the party of the poor, what they really meant is that they are a poor party. And every time that they come to power, barbarians become poor. I'm going to tell you some things, and every time you hear me say anything, you holler poor. Road works, water works, healthcare, housing, Minister of Finance, poorest of all. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the legacy of this version of the Democratic Labour Party. When we get serious, this country has always had political parties, regardless of what side of the fence you are on, that managed us at a particular level. This one is one that we would do well to forget, but we won't be able to forget it at all, because this is a stain on the history of politics in Barbados. And I'll tell you this, I don't want you to get trapped, because some of them have said already that this election gonna be nasty. Don't go down in the gutter with people and their nonsense. Because when we want to discuss issues, these people want to discuss people's private life. And when we are out and about, meeting people where they are and rubbing shoulders, this lot prefer to grease palms. So ladies and gentlemen, you know what you have to do in an effort to rescue Barbados from this madness. And it is madness. Because how can you, born, bred, and raised in this society, bring it to its knees and then act as if you don't care? Are you going to tell me that you don't have friends, family, people that you went to school with, people that you work with? How could you be so uncaring? How could you be so cold? But when a fella sometimes gets something that he didn't expect, he would behave in a strange way. But my mother always told me, John, and she just lived across there in Kingston, what you don't want for yourself, don't do it to nobody else. And so I know, like my mother's advice, Ryan Strong would have gotten the same advice from his mother. And so tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I could put my head on a block that Ryan Strong will go out of its way to ensure that your lives are improved, to ensure that your every problem is addressed. And all you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is one simple thing. Go to the polls, put your X beside the name Ryan Strong, and make him the next representative for Christchurch East Central. We cannot do it alone. We need you, every single one of you. Get your friends, your neighbors, and please don't forget the Dems that heard it. Tell them that at least on this time they can feel free to change and vote for the Barbados Labour Party. Because really and truly, they have no other choice. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you do, stay true to yourselves. Put Barbados first. Make the right decisions. And may God bless you, and God bless Ryan Strong, and God bless Mia and more Marley, the next Prime Minister of this beautiful country. Good night. God bless you all.
Howdy. We are big on the place, Brody. On the board? Yeah. You ready to roll? Yeah. Can you talk just a little bit? Can you really talk just a little bit? Can you really talk just a little bit? Wow! Now is the time. Now is the time. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Go tell your friends. Go tell your friends. Tell the whole family. The whole family.
Ladies and gentlemen, this election, we are asked you from the Barbados Labour Party to look at the candidates that we are putting forward to you. And each and every one of our candidates across the length and breadth of this country, you will see there is a vast of talent, commitment, courage, and the well-to-do to turn this country around. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to make history in this country by bringing the first female Prime Minister in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the type of speakers that we are going to bring to you now from this platform that is going to help transform this country back to where we were. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot do it unless we have your support. So when they come to you and they're asking you for their vote, remember I told you early from this platform, be the judge. Look and see what they have done to this country, and if you believe that they have not done a good job, your only alternative you have is to vote for the Barbados Labour Party. The next speaker to this platform, I have known this gentleman, or should I say this young man, because I have journeyed to the parish of St. George on many occasions. And we have seen this young man speaking in Parliament, bringing a difference, bringing an objective view. We have seen him working in his constituency, and we have seen a groundswell of support. Why? Because he is a person of substance. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Mr. Dwight Sutherland for our platform. Dwight, welcome to Christchurch East Central.
Like a challenge here, nonetheless, if I have to tiptoe, I will tiptoe, because I'm here for a reason, and a real good reason. I want to say good night to the people of Kingsland, Wotton, Lodge Road, Mount Rose, Poland, all over Christchurch, and particularly the people from Christchurch East Central. I bring greetings to you from the people of St. George South, and to let you know that all is well in that constituency. Just like you will make all well in this constituency. We are on a mission. I want to say a special good night to Nova. I didn't see her yet, but I heard she's in the crowd. That's my woman. My wife is here. She won't get vexed, but Nova is my woman. Nova, I love you. I am here tonight. Mr. Brooks mentioned St. George South. But I want you to know that I grew up in this constituency, right below the Water Street Boys School. My grandmother was the janitor for years at that school. She toiled long and hard to raise 5 children, one of which, her first daughter, my mother, Meralda Sutherland, formerly Harewood. So when I come to Christ Church, I have to respect this parish because this parish played a significant part in my development. And the other sons, the Jones, the Kings, the Crawfords, I can call more. I have more family in Christ Church, East Central and West Central, than I have in St. George. And indeed, the Moors, my grandfather was a Moor from King's Corner. So you see, I have Christ Church roots, and Lucille Moore, my family, is here tonight as well. But it is not about me. It is about Ryan Strong. This young man who grew up in Bank Hall. Similar to you, the people in Wotton and surrounding districts, a humble man who grew up in humble and poor background. This young man is no different to any of us, and I pay special attention to him, not because he's on my border in Christ Church East Central, but because this young man is similar to me. We had the opportunity as poor black men and young men, grew up in humble origins, to achieve a sound secondary and tertiary education. And we took advantage of it because people before us paved the way. And just like how I would thank my mother and father and the community of St. George and Christ Church, I know Ryan will thank the community of Bank Hall as well as his mother and father. So we are similar. We are similar. But what we did not do when we got up that ladder, we did not kick it down. Ryan spent many a days volunteering to teach young boys and girls to swim for no money whatsoever. He gave back to his community and to his country. He didn't now decide to give back as a politician. He was doing this from a young man. Ryan owns or operates a music school. And Ryan taught young men and women music. So for me, it is no surprise when Ryan said to me, Dwight, my passion is about the youth. I want to develop the youth. And I'm starting here, not that Ryan don't value Nova and the more mature people. Of course he values them. But Nova and the more mature people in this constituency were once young people. They were once teenagers. They were once young adults who needed the opportunity. So Ryan's passion is one that fits astutely into the Barbados Labour Party's vision for a better society. And I know that the Democratic Labour Party speaks about building a society and not an economy. I ain't get to Ryan with his competence yet. Time he went 20 minutes gone. I ain't getting a good timekeeper. I will talk the whole night on Ryan. I love Ryan and Ryan love you, the people of Christ Church Essential. So let me know when 20 minutes is up, because I have something to do in the last 10 minutes. So okay, timekeepers? So Ryan's vision and passion for Christ Church Essential fits right into the Barbados Labour Party vision for a better society. And we have to prepare this society for 50 years down the road. We can't prepare our society for 2 years and 10 years down the road. So with that, you know who we have to focus on? We have to focus on our young people. We are not saying we're going to exclude the adults or the mature people, but we have to place a lot of emphasis on our young people. And you will understand where I'm going just now. So the Barbados Labour Party's vision for a better society is to empower our people, show them love and affection, understand them, communicate with them, and channel their hopes and aspirations in a positive direction. Our vision as a Barbados Labour Party for the young people, or for a better society, is to provide the opportunity that these young people can develop their characters and competencies and personal responsibility traits that they can become successful men and women. Our vision for a better society as a Barbados Labour Party is for a safe and nurturing society whereby our people can fulfill their dreams and aspirations. So Ryan's focus on the youth fits perfectly with the Barbados Labour Party's vision for a better society. And I start there because our leader, Mayor Amor Morley, and I want you to give her a clap tonight. She chose Ryan. She chose Ryan. When I heard about Ryan Strong, I said, well, Ryan, before I met Ryan, I know Ryan had first-class honors in economics and maths from the University of the West Indies. And I can speak to the University of the West Indies from a different perspective shortly. And I said, I hope Ryan has what it takes to join me, because I have a passion and a heart for people. And I spoke with him, and what I articulated earlier, I said, this young man who is so bright, this young man who has done so much social work, this young man who has given of his time for the betterment of the people, the young people in this society, he is even more qualified than me. We ain't talking about academic qualification, but we are talking about a heart for the people. He's even more qualified than me to come to the fore to serve the Barbados Labour Party under Mayor Amor Morley. Now, when we speak about a vision for a better society, and I mentioned our political leader, Mayor Amor Morley, I have in my hand the Covenant of Hope. I have in my hand the Covenant of Hope. This is the brainchild of Mayor Amor Morley. This is a contract, a social contract with the people of this country. How we as a party want to move forward in engaging our people. It is people focused. It is people centered. It is not looking at money or putting us in parliament to build big houses, or putting us in parliament to distribute laptops to the constituency that the Chinese brought in for the schools. It is not doing that. We are creating a vision for the people of this country. And I want to take this further because Mayor Amor Morley, and I hear people talking about her suitability to lead this country. I want you to name any leader who came to the fore in this country who would have had the experience that Mayor Amor Morley had. I give you 1 second to call one. There ain't none. Mayor Amor Morley was trained. Mayor Amor Morley served in opposition. Mayor Amor Morley served in government. She even acted as Prime Minister at times. She was Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Minister of Economic Development, and Attorney General. But I want to stay with the education, because that is why I'm here. I come here to share some licks too. I come here, as the young boys in Wotton would say, big up Ryan, because they told me I have to big up Ryan when I come to Christchurch in Central, and I come here to share some licks. But I forgot to say good night to my first cousin, we in Norgrove, the barber in Wotton. That's my uncle's son. So I come to Wotton with Ryan to see my family, not only to canvass, but to greet them. But I want to speak a bit on the Ministry of Education. Because Mayor Motley had the vision back in the year 2000, some over 15 years ago, when she was the Minister of Education. You remember that EduTech project? Yes. You remember we recognized as a country and as a party back then that we could not develop unless we paid attention to information and communication technology. Yes. And that was the brainchild of Mayor Amor Motley. You remember that? Yes. But look what is happening today. The ICT, Information and Communication Technology, is one of the pillars through which we in Barbados will create opportunities for economic growth. It is one of the pillars through which our young people, and I even stress the young people, focus on and try to create ways, whether they're entrepreneurs or they're in other people's business, by which they strive to create an opportunity for themselves. So we, as a party, back then under Mayor Amor Motley, one of the best education ministers we have ever had, and you should clap for that. So she ain't coming to the fore as the poo-poo woman. She's coming to the fore not as a porgy, as the fellas will say. She's coming to the fore with competence and a proven track record in government. And she's fit, she's fully loaded, and she's fit to lead this country, to lead Ryan, John, and I. And I will have it no other way. But let me speak to a man who has occupied the floors of Parliament, who has been in cabinet for the last 10 years, who has been in Parliament probably for the last 15 years, who is a very insulting man. Very insulting man. And I'm going to give you an example before I get into the nuts and bolts of him. I entered Parliament in March 2013 as a first-time MP. Thanks to the people of St. George South. And you will say, Ryan, in 2018 as the first time as your MP when Parliament resumes after March. You make sure he walk those steps alongside me, and I will make sure I ain't leaving him. So you have to help me. But I entered Parliament. My first speech in Parliament. That insulting bastard, Ron Jones, got up in Parliament and said, after I made a very good maiden speech on behalf of the people of St. George South, he got up in Parliament and said he was a teacher at the same school my grandmother was a janitor at, and she always said he had the manners, you know. And he got up in Parliament and he said, oh, don't mind him, his grandmother was a janitor. He can't put me in court, that's what he said. And he went further to say, man, she used to put she money in she bosom. And she used to got she money. She used to sweep the floors, and sometimes when I call her, she didn't used to come, she used to have an attitude. But my grandmother didn't like he. He was an unmanly bastard, an insulting bastard. And I come here to deal with him tonight. Because Ronald Jones believes that he can say and do what he wants and get away with it. The time has come, people. The time has come for you to understand that this is not 20 years ago when he was teaching at the Wall Street Boys School. The time has come when we need a new focus to take Barbados out of the mire. And Ronald Jones cannot do that. No. So after insulting me, I said nothing but, you know, my mother, Morella Sutherland Nee here, who born up here, she heard, you know, and she was upset. But she said to me, you know what, right? That said, grandmother, her salary helped me to help you to go to university, and you have become a qualified engineer with 2 masters. So don't mind Ronald Jones. So she did her service, what she wanted to do to raise 5 children and to raise many grandchildren, of which I'm one, and I'm proud of her. The Lord rest her in our grave. So tell Ronald Jones, I am not ashamed of where I come from, Ryan or I, from back home, from Alton. We ain't ashamed. Whether we our grandmother work in the fields or what, we ain't ashamed. We are here tonight to help this country, led by Mayor Amor Motley, to rescue you. And we want more people people who can identify with the struggle, like Ryan, John, and I, because John too understands the struggle. So, we went to university, and that one Ronald Jones see it fit now. He too benefited from the tertiary university education. He chose to kick down the ladder that he climbed upon. I spoke to a young lady only last week who's so excited to join my campaign, and my wife can attest to this. A young lady from the Ellerton housing area. That young lady is a poor young lady. None of her siblings, her mother's siblings, they have never had the opportunity to go to university. This young lady went to St. Michael's School, graduated with 9 O-levels certificates. She has 3 A-levels. She wanted to pursue a law degree, but you know what? She can't afford it. And that's a life example that I give you. How many more, John King song said how many more? How many more in Christchurch Essential fall into the same bracket as that young girl or young boy? How many more? A lot more. And I want you to understand that under Mayor Amon Morley and the Barbados Labour Party, you probably heard it tonight, we have given you our commitment that we will return free university education so that the poor people and the people who are vulnerable and don't have the opportunity right now to enter that institution will be given that opportunity under the Barbados Labour Party. And I have to blow Ryan's trumpet. You know why? Because in 2012, Ryan Strong was the president of the Economic Society. And Ryan Strong presented 4 options to the Minister of Finance to prevent the young people from paying tuition fees. 4 options that we will use, of course. Thank you, Ryan. Give him a clap for that. You all have a great young man. You all have a great young man. 4 options Ryan Strong gave to the government, this government, to prevent people from paying tuition fees. And you know, not one option they may look at. They won't hear he. They won't hear from the mayor. But you know why hearing? Mayor Amon Morley and the Barbados Labour Party. So Ryan, I say on behalf of Mayor and the Barbados Labour Party, and all my colleagues in Parliament, you will join us. I know you will join us. Your 4 options are being examined as we meet, as the manifesto team meet, and as the strategy team meet. Your options are being examined. And we have already chosen 2 that will rescue Barbados. And I want to say thank you. Christchurch Essential, pick up yourself. Thanks to Ryan. So Ronald Jones kicked down that ladder. Let's examine the school system today. You know, it's sad and it is not anything that I want to boast about, nor laugh about, nor laugh at. I started my career as a teacher at Harrison College back in 1993. I also spent some time at the University of the West Indies as well as a lecturer. So I am passionate about education and about teaching. And I'm passionate, just like Ryan is, about young people. And when you examine our school system today, we recognize that in its present state, the Democratic Labour Party, who is trying to build a society, will continue to build a very poor society. They have no vision, and where there's no vision, the people perish, they will perish. They're in a state of flux, a state of inertia. Nothing that Ronald Jones has put his hands on over the last 7 years has been successful. We see the amount of deviant behavior that is going on in the schools today. We saw someone at the school in Black Rock, Ellerslie, a young man, almost lost a finger. We just saw a stabbing at Grant. He didn't lose it. I know him personally. He didn't lose it. His mother is from Ellerton St. George, who moved into the city. So I know him personally. I took him to the hospital a couple of times. So he didn't lose it. He is recovering. We see Grantley Adams School, a stabbing. We see the kids fighting on buses. And there are many more that we don't see, but we hear about. And when Ronald Jones was approached recently about installing metal detectors in school, he didn't take it on. This is some months ago. He did not take it on. But now he wants to, after the cat get out the bag and the horse both from the stable, he wants to bring the police to the schools. I think Ronald Jones needs to resign. I think Ronald Jones needs to step aside and say to the people of this country, I have failed the school system. He has failed the school system. When we look around, and I made a speech in Parliament which simply said, we need more social workers / guidance counselors in our school system. We have troubled children who enter the school system, who go to school daily. You may have a class of 35, and you may have 8 or 9 troubled children. You know you don't have the resources in the schools to address these 8 or 9 children. So they have to sit in a class with the other 21 children who want to learn. But you know what? The teachers are disrupted. The teachers are challenged by those 9 persons. But they have nowhere to go. There's no resource in the school to address this. And when you have some at the schools, the social workers at schools, guidance counselors at schools, you have 1 per school. That is not enough. And this is a teacher. Someone who was a teacher before he came into politics. This was a union president, and I can get to that. I saved that for last. Send me the signal, please. This is a man who presided over the teaching system as it relates to the governing body, the union, the Barbados Union of Teachers. This is a man who ought to know better. But you know what? I heard I have 5 minutes. He's more interested in himself than in the development and motivation and empowering of our young people. He's not fit for the job. He's not fit for the job. And worse yet, within that Democratic Labour Party is so much anger, fighting, and frustration among themselves. He was part of the Eager 11, you know. He was more focusing on becoming the Prime Minister. You got the joke about him? When David Thompson became the Prime Minister, Ronald Jones' name was in the hat to become the deputy, you know. And David Thompson wanted him, that was his boy. But when certain rank and file members saw the name in the hat, and they said, no way, Tommy, you have to go with a deputy, because we cannot have Ronald Jones as a deputy in this country. Because they knew back then that Ronald Jones was not fit to lead the youth or empower the youth or to make good the school system in this country. All Ronald Jones is busy doing trying to put his name on every plaque within every school. Name a school after this body, name a school after the next body. So at the end of the day, when you enter these schools, you can see opened by the Minister, Honorable Ronald Jones, Minister of Education, Information, Innovation and Technology. But I think they need to take up that innovation, because there's no innovation in that ministry. It is pure inertia in that ministry. So Ronald Jones, they need to rename this ministry, but don't worry, he's soon out of it. But I want to leave you with one that touched me. The Barbados Union of Teachers. The Barbados Union of Teachers is the union that represents primary school teachers. Ronald Jones was the president of the Barbados Union of Teachers. And Ronald Jones knows very well that by law, that by the Trade Union Act, members of the union, executive members, can leave work and go to meetings once they're give advice, give early notice, and they're granted the permission. Now, Ronald Jones, last year, the Barbados Union of Teachers wanted to discuss with the teachers, because what they did, you know, teachers usually get leave of absence after 10 years. So they used to get one-term leave every 10 years. And what this government did was to remove that unilaterally. They removed it. They did not inform the unions, neither did they inform the teachers. So the teachers then agreed they wanted to meet with the union executive, and there went I have to finish this part. Ren, you come in now. And these teachers sought the permission from their supervisors at the schools to go to a meeting 2 days. And Ronald Jones decided to duck the pay. You could imagine these teachers, once they're granted permission by the headmistress or the headmaster or their supervisors who happen to be senior teachers, can attend meetings. And Ronald Jones decided to duck the teachers' pay. Right now, it is in court. That is the level of disgust that exists within the school system. So when the head bad and the teachers are angry with the head, you expect the school system could be any better? So we need to create harmony. We need to impart those teachers, because school is about the students, you know, and not about Ronald Jones and the teachers. So you go to school to teach people, to learn them. So that is why Ryan is passionate about the youth. Those are just a few examples of why you should not vote for Ronald Jones. He doesn't canvass in Christchurch Essential. He sends people, whether it's Quincy or whoever, to say hi to you. You can imagine how detached Ronald Jones is at a time when people need to see their parliamentary representative to discuss issues, especially what is happening in our school system. He does not canvass. He sends people around this constituency, and I want you, the people of Christchurch East Central, as a rapper, we have given you someone who gives representation from the heart. We have given to you someone who is a people's person. We have given someone to you who has a proven track record of empowering the youth, creating a vision for the youth. We have given to you someone with an economic background who will form part of any administration under Mayor Amor Montley, because he is one of the few economists. We have given to you a man of the people, a humble man. I want you, the people of Christchurch East Central, to forget Ronald Jones, to forget the inertia of this government, to vote Ronald Jones, to go with Ryan, because Ryan is a man with a vision led by Mayor Amor Montley. Yep. Ryan is a man who will rescue you. Ryan is a man who will put back some respectability to the youth who have infectious optimism in this Christchurch Essential constituency. Ryan is a man for the people. And I want you tonight to join me as I welcome this man who will bring back some respectability to Christchurch Essential. I want you to join with me and welcome a man, a true economist. I want you to join with me and welcome a man who knows what it takes to empower you and to make them feel part of the system. I want you to join and welcome a man, a musician by training. I want you to join and welcome with me and welcome a man who's one of the best economists in this country. I want you to join with me and welcome your next parliamentary representative for Christchurch Central, Ryan Strong. Good night, God bless you, and I bring Ryan to you. Thank you. Good night. There's a natural mystic blowing through the air. Thank you very much. Be careful. Good night, Wotton. Good night, Christchurch, East Central.
All right.
Let me first thank Dwight Sutherland, who has adopted me, I would say, as a candidate for the Barbados Labour Party for this constituency. Dwight has given me tremendous support as a youngster himself, because it's important, ladies and gentlemen, that we start to demonstrate leadership. And whilst Dwight is not that much older than I am, he's senior to me, and I respect that. And one of the things that we in the Barbados Labour Party has always been strong on is leadership. And being a leader does not always mean that you are in front. You must be prepared to listen, take stock, and then take action. And I thank Dwight, because as a young MP, certainly he has already traveled the road, and it's a road that I also want to travel successfully. Now, as you've heard all night, there are issues not just in this constituency, but also across this country. And so I just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself personally to the people of Wotton and to the people of Christchurch East Central. I have been a candidate now for just over 2 years. And I've done so because I have benefited fully from all that Barbados have had to offer me and persons like myself. Now, I grew up with my grandmother in Bank Hall, which, as any of you would know, Bank Hall is really no different from Wotton or any of the communities across this constituency. My grandmother used to sell newspapers at the bottom of King Street. And I can tell you, throughout my lifetime, I have never seen anyone stretch $1 like how my grandmother stretched $1. And I have always wondered, how is it that my grandmother was able to do these things growing up in the way that I did? How she was always able, though we were poor, to always reach out and share with those who were less fortunate than ourselves. So I grew up with people around us, living with us periodically from time to time for extended periods, because that's the example that my grandmother taught me, that you do what you can for as long as you can. And with that, no expectation of anything in return. That is what my grandmother taught me. And so, as I've grown up, I have tried to emulate what my grandmother taught me as a boy, that you just help people. And so, having benefited from all that Barbados has had to offer me, ladies and gentlemen, I can say to you tonight that I am ready to serve the people of Wotton, I'm ready to serve the people of Christchurch East Central, and I'm ready to serve the people of Barbados. We are at an important juncture in this country. Very important. And I want all the residents of Wotton to hear me clearly. Even though this country appears to be in a mess, it smells like one, it looks like one, it feels like one.
I want you to understand that out of every mess, there are opportunities. Opportunities that we now must grasp. But in order to do so, you must feel as if you will have a chance to grasp those opportunities. And as we move forward, not just in this campaign, but certainly after the election, to rescue Barbados, I want each and every one of you in your homes listening tonight, those of you who have come out, those of you who are watching on YouTube or Facebook, to understand that I am here. The Barbados Labour Party is here. And under the leadership of Mia and more we will rescue this country and put Barbados back where it belongs. We shall do so systematically. We shall fix each problem as they arise. But the people of Barbados must first give themselves a chance by ensuring that on election day, whenever it is called, that you go to the polls and vote Ryan Strong, you go to the polls and vote Adrian Ford, Wilfred Abrams, William Duguid, and Ralph Thorne. Because Christchurch right now is under siege. A significant lack of representation in Christchurch. Significant. 4 ministers of government, but yet young people in Christchurch cannot see or even conceive of opportunities to move forward. But I want to assure the residents of Wotton that your issues will be addressed. Because in order to ensure that this economy grows and opportunities are presented to ordinary Barbadians like me. Because the man that you see here tonight, I'm not here by accident. I'm here because 20 years ago, I was able to attend the University of West Indies. Free, as we would say. I have had the benefit of the best education that Barbados has ever offered. And in so doing, it gave me the opportunity to come here tonight and say to you that I know what we need to do to fix this economy. That the Barbados Labour Party knows what to do to fix this economy. And so therefore, ladies and gentlemen, you have a clear choice. Clear choice. You've had 10 years of the worst economic management, fiscal management, social management, every type of management. Bad, poor. And it manifests itself on the South Coast. Poor management. Now these things affect every single Barbadian. Every single Barbadian. Now, whilst we may not have sewage flowing up here in Wotton and across Christchurch East Central, some of you work on the South Coast. You may have friends that work on the South Coast. You may even have businesses on the South Coast. But the reality is this: we are all affected by that. I believe that the Democratic Labour Party's delay in addressing those issues right now is the most serious threat to the livelihood of every Barbadian. Because right now the tourists that are here are the ones who cannot get a refund on their bookings. And the longer they take to fix that problem down there, the likelihood of people booking to come here next year is low. And that affects each and every one of us. Not immediately, but certainly in time to come. And as a representative, one of the things that you have to ensure that you do is to look out for the interests of people. Not just in the moment, but look ahead. and try to avoid those things that would affect your people negatively. That is what representation is. But I want to bring it back a little closer to home. As I canvass Wotton, I listen to the residents here in the housing area. And people have said to me, or brought to my attention, the issues with the electrical wiring. And as I canvass from block to block to block to block, periodically you hear the same thing over and over and over and over. Until I got a sense that, you know what, this thing is pretty serious. So I did my research and recognized that the issues that were taking place at Haynesville, I realized Wotton and Haynesville built at the same time. So I came back to the residents again and I inquired. So I took it upon myself, as any representative should do. And I wrote the National Housing Corporation to say, look, these residents are having issues with the electrical wiring. And as you well know, there were a number of fires at Haynesville last year, 5 to be precise. So I said, look, I believe the way to solve this problem is to have the electrical engineering department conduct a series of electrical inspections to ensure what is the exact condition of the electrical wiring in these units, and then set about a plan of action to remedy the situation. Now, I got a response from the NHC, which was interesting because when I spoke to every resident told me that they called the NHC and the matters were reported to the maintenance department. But the response from the NHC said, thank you for bringing these matters to their attention. It has been referred to the maintenance department. But if I know of anybody who have issues with their wiring, let them know. Now, I want you to understand what is happening here very clearly. Very clearly. You have been promised ownership of these units. And part of the condition is to ensure that when they're handed over, that they are fit for purpose. Now, of course, the government would like you to forget that that's what they promised to deliver. They would like you to forget that. But I want you to understand something here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There's a clear and present danger as it relates to electrical issues in these housing units. They have to be fixed. People are living in fear. And we cannot have a situation where citizens of this country, no matter where they are, live in fear. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something here again tonight. The Barbados Labour Party will fix these problems. We will face these problems. Because your peace of mind as a citizen is important to me.